Yo, how's it going, YouTube? I'm back in the video, and today I'm going to be talking about who should trade for Kevin Durant. Because as if you know, if you're an NBA fan in any type of way, you would know that this whole Kevin Durant trade situation has the NBA by the balls right now. There's tons of high-quality free agents still out there that are refusing to sign anywhere because they don't really know where the Kevin Durant situation is going to lead, and they don't know who they're going to want to sign with once the Durant trade is over with. So they're trying to wait to let all this play out, but there's no really guarantee that this is even going to play out before the end of this offseason, and it's just a huge situation. So basically what I'm beginning to reveal is going to be all the teams I think could potentially trade for Kevin Durant, why I think all of them should do it, and why it makes sense for the Brooklyn Nets to make the trade and the other team to make the trade. And then at the end, I'm going to be saying who I personally would like to see trade for Kevin Durant the most. So if that does sound interesting to you, stick around, watch the whole video, hit the like button and subscribe button if you do like it at any point. But without further ado, without running on too much, let's get right into this video. Okay, so the first thing I want to get into for this video is going to be all the potential trade partners I'll be going through in this video. Really the 5 main potential trade partners I think are legitimately contenders to get them are the Boston Celtics, the New Orleans Pelicans, the Phoenix Suns, the Miami Heat, and the Toronto Raptors. Those have been the 5 teams most rumored around him, and they also can put together very solid packages. Now, I'm not saying any of these teams in any particular order or anything. Those are just the teams I think that do have a chance to trade for him. And the first team I want to get into, really the package they put together and everything, and why they would do it, would be the Boston Celtics. I have the Boston Celtics giving up a package of Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, JD Davison, and 4 first-round picks for Kevin Durant. Now, why it makes sense for the Brooklyn Nets to do this trade, the Nets would be getting Jaylen Brown, who's a very good borderline all-star level player on both ways on the ball. He can affect the game on both sides, defense and offense. He's very good. He just played at a very high level, on the highest level of basketball in the NBA Finals just not too long ago. Marcus Smart is the reigning defensive player of the year. He's one of the best perimeter defenders in the entire NBA. And then you even throw in someone like JD Davison, who has a very high ceiling out of this year's draft. He's a guard. I'm sure they would like to have him just because of how young he is and how high his ceiling could be. And then they're also getting significant draft capital in return. And then obviously the Boston Celtics are doing it because they're replacing Jaylen Brown with Kevin Durant, and they're getting directly better. The only player they're really losing in this situation is Marcus Smart, because they're already upgrading Jaylen Brown and they're only losing Marcus Smart, and they're not planning on being bad in the next 4 years with Jason Tatum on the roster, so those 4 first-round picks might not hurt him as bad as you would think. So I think for sure that the Boston Celtics would love to make a trade like this, because Kevin Durant is infinitely better than Jaylen Brown. That's not a dig at Jaylen Brown, that's just because how good Kevin Durant actually is, and Jason Tatum and Kevin Durant combined are more than enough to contend for the finals. They just made it this year without him, and imagine how good they could be if they did add Kevin Durant to this roster. And now the second team I want to get into for this video is going to be the New Orleans Pelicans. Now the Pelicans I think are very unlikely to make a trade for the Kevin Durant, but they are still a team that has been rumored around him. And the trade package I have put around for the New Orleans Pelicans would be Brandon Ingram, Larry Nance Jr., Trey Murphy, and 5 first-round picks, while all they would be receiving in return is Kevin Durant. Now the only reason I don't think the Pelicans would do this is because they have such a bright future going ahead of them. This team is so tight-knit. I think for sure they would like to see it out and see how good this young core could go with a fully healthy Zion. So I don't think they would do this trade, but if they did, I would say that this would be kind of what the package would look like. And the reason I think the Nets would want to do this is because you're getting a young all-star level player in Brandon Ingram, plus they both play very similar ways. Now obviously Ingram is not as good as Kevin Durant, not even close right now, but he still plays in a very similar fashion, especially offensively, as Kevin Durant does. So scheme-wise, you won't have to change that much due to how similar they do play. And then Larry Nance Jr. has been a very solid rotational guy for years, and I'm sure he would be a very solid rotational guy for the Brooklyn Nets going forward. Trey Murphy is a young player who could develop into a very good 3-and-D player, and then plus obviously you're getting 5 first-rounders to build with. And I mean, anytime you can get 5 first-rounders for any player, that is a huge thing, especially when you don't have any of your own first-round picks due to trading for Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and James Harden and all of them. So I think for sure that this trade would make a ton of sense for the Brooklyn Nets. And then as far as the Pelicans side, the Pelicans would be getting an upgrade over Brandon Ingram, and they'd be able to contend just a little bit quicker. I do think that this core that the Pelicans have in maybe 1 to 2 years could be a legit finals contender out of the Western Conference, but Kevin Durant would really speed up that process, and then him, Zion, CJ, Giannis Valanciunas, all those guys, Herb Jones, I think for sure would be a contending level team right out of the gate. And to make things a little bit better from the whole 5 first-round pick thing, I know that is a lot of picks to give up, but the Pelicans can easily give up 5 first-round picks and still have every single one of their own picks. They can still own all of their picks and just get rid of all those other first rounds they have acquired through like the Anthony Davis trade, the Jrue Holiday trade, and things like that. So it's not like the trade is going to cripple the Pelicans' future if something goes significantly wrong or something like that. So I think both sides would be getting very good in return, and I think it would be benefiting both sides, but I just don't see the Pelicans making a trade for Durant. And now moving to the third team on the list is going to be the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns are another team I just don't see trading for Durant just due to how much the Brooklyn Nets are asking for, as Phoenix would be able to put together a package of something like Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and 3 first-round picks. And there is just now a rumor that said that trade package itself was just not enough to get Kevin Durant. And if that's not enough to get Kevin Durant, I can't see Phoenix giving up much more than that. And I just don't see in any way that Phoenix would get this done, because I don't think they're willing to trade Devin Booker, and I don't think they're going to trade DeAndre Ayton, Chris Paul, Mikal Bridges, and Cam Johnson plus picks for Durant. I just don't see that happening. But if Phoenix was to do it, it would probably have to look something like that package I just said of D-Book, Mikal, Cam Johnson, 3 firsts, and then you receive Kevin Durant in return. Now, the reason the Brooklyn Nets would want to do this is because they would be getting a young, legitimate star in Devin Booker who can score on every part of the court. He's one of the best offensive players in the entire league. And then you'd be getting one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA in Mikal Bridges, who is also young and is very good, still has a lot of places to develop, and him and D-Book have a ton of chemistry together. Cam Johnson is an absolute knockdown shooter, and he's developed very nicely since joining the NBA. And then obviously you're getting 3 first-round picks as well. And then the Phoenix Suns, I wouldn't do this trade, but they would be getting Kevin Durant, and he'd be by far the best offensive player on the team. He would be an upgrade over Devin Booker, but how much of an upgrade, I don't know. Plus chemistry wouldn't be there, plus you don't have much depth, so I really don't know how much better this would make the Phoenix Suns, and I don't know why they would do that. So I just really don't see the Phoenix Suns making this trade at all. But now for the fourth team on the list, I have the Toronto Raptors, and the Toronto Raptors package would have to look something like Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, and 2 first-round picks for Kevin Durant. And now the reason I have the Nets doing this is because they'd be getting a potential young star in Scotty Barnes, who just won Rookie of the Year. He's very young, has a ton of places to improve, and just has a huge ceiling going forward. You have OG Anunoby, who is one of the more underrated players in the entire league. He is very good, and I think for sure he would be a great piece for the Brooklyn Nets going forward. And then you have a top 15 point guard in Fred VanVleet, who's a great scorer, just an all-around good point guard, and it'd be very good. Plus you're getting a little bit of draft capital as well, and that's always huge for a team like Brooklyn. But I don't see why the Raptors would want to make this trade, only because I don't see them as a contender if they do get Durant, especially if you're trading VanVleet, OG, and Scotty Barnes, because I don't think the duo of Pascal Siakam, Serge Ibaka, and Kevin Durant, I don't think that's enough to win you a championship, especially not with a 33-year-old Kevin Durant. So I just honestly don't think that the Raptors, it would make a lot of sense for them to trade their entire future, their entire depth chart for one guy who doesn't even make you a legit contender in my eyes. So it just wouldn't make sense in my opinion, but I do think the Raptors could put together a very good package for Kevin Durant. But now for the team that I think legitimately should trade for Kevin Durant, and I think it would make a lot of sense, would be the Miami Heat. Now, the Heat definitely would not be getting off cheap by any means necessary, as they would probably have to put together a package that looks a little something like Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, Nikola Jokic, and Max Strus with 4 first-round picks, and they would receive Kevin Durant. Now, before you think I said Nikola Jokic, I didn't. I said Nikola Jovic is his name. He's a rookie, okay? Calm down. Don't think I think Nikola Jokic is on the team. I just wanted to get out of the way before I see a comment like that. All right, yeah. But why the Nets would want to do this? Because they would be getting one of the best bigs in the entire NBA in Bam Adebayo. Plus, he still has 4 years left on his contract, so Bam Adebayo would just make tons and tons of sense because they're getting a young all-star level player. He still has a long term on his contract, so he is stuck in Brooklyn. He has to stay there for at least those 4 years. And then you'd be getting Tyler Hero, who is debatably the best player off the bench in the entire NBA this year, and he is only 22 years old, and them two could develop very nicely together. Very young guys who have tons and tons of potential going forward. A rookie in Jovic, who's showed a lot of potential in the summer league so far. He had a very good game game in his second game in the Summer League. So, I mean, maybe he could be something good. You never know. He's a rookie. I'm sure Brooklyn would not want him. And then Max Strus, a knockdown shooter when he's on. He's one of the best shooters in the league when he's on, and he just showed tons of potential this year. And then I think that they would be giving up around 3 to 4 first-round picks in return for Kevin Durant. Now, the only reason that I think that the Brooklyn Nets would want to do this is because they'd be getting so many young players, so much talent, plus draft capital. But the biggest reason why I think Miami would want to do this is because Miami would still have Kyle Lowry, Jimmy Butler, and now Kevin Durant. Now, that is more than enough to contend. Plus, they have Victor Oladipo as well coming off their bench because they retained his rights, I think, through bird rights in this offseason, but they still do have him. So I think for sure you add Kevin Durant to a roster that already has Kyle Lowry, Victor Oladipo, and Jimmy Butler. I think for sure that is a finals contending team every single year, no matter what. Miami Heat, I think they made the Eastern Conference Finals just this season, and they didn't have Durant. So imagine them with a scorer like Durant. Now, I know they're losing a beast like Bam Adebayo, who's one of the best big men in the entire league. He's a great defender. He can score as well. He's just a very, very good player. But Kevin Durant's offense would more than make up for that. That's how good Kevin Durant is, and I think for sure Miami would be one of the favorites, if not the favorite, out of the Eastern Conference if they were able to pull off this trade. Plus, I think Kevin Durant wouldn't mind living in a place like Miami, who's a big market, it's a nice place to live, and they have a winning culture. So I think for sure, out of all these places, it's either Boston or Miami that have the two biggest chances of trading for him, and I think one of those two teams would benefit the most from trading for Kevin Durant. But unfortunately, guys, that's my videos. Comment below. Do you agree with me? Do you think that Boston or Miami should trade for him? Who do you think should trade for him? I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you like the video point, like I said earlier, hit the like button, subscribe button, it would mean the absolute world to me. And I hope you have a blessed day, have a blessed day, so you have a blessed day. All glory to God. See you in the next video. Goodbye. Boo. Blah.